Your lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
Blake Lively is having a total breakdown in court after the judge harshly rejected her absurd request.
We're going to slap that down. You obviously cannot do that.
She outright demanded access to Justin Baldoni's entire personal history, his call logs, medical visits, and even his GPS location history, demonstrating that she's completely lost her grip on reality.
We have to distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation.
The judge immediately dismissed her arguments, exposing her pathetic legal tactics for what they truly are.
That is the kindest way that a judge can say to you that your lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
Blake Lively just got completely wrecked in court, and it was hilarious to witness. If you thought she and Ryan Reynolds could just strong-arm their way through this legal mess, think again. Judge Lewis Lyman shattered her latest courtroom stunt, making it crystal clear that her case holds no weight, just like her flimsy attempts to play the victim.
You are not able to hold a logical thought.
And the most entertaining part? She completely lost it when she realized her over-the-top, invasive, and frankly creepy subpoena demands were getting shot down in real time.
If the judge actually grants that kind of a protection order, the attorneys would become the judge of what exactly could be designated AEO. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Blake Lively walked into that courtroom thinking she was about to get away with her ridiculous demands, only for Judge Lewis Lyman to take one glance at her subpoena and basically say, "Are you serious?" Lively's legal team tried to bully their way into getting 2.5 years worth of Baldoni's private call records. Yes, you read that right. 2.5 years.
The judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request for 2.5 years worth of every message that Justin Baldoni and Justin Heath and the PR agents have ever sent to everybody, plus location data. We knew that was going to happen.
And it wasn't just text messages they wanted. They demanded everything. Calls, message logs, location tracking, even a record of who he spoke to and when. Imagine the level of delusion it takes to believe a court would ever allow that. The judge didn't hold back, calling her subpoena overly intrusive, which in legal terms is just a polite way of saying, "This is insane. Sit down."
Blake Lively had modified the request, did not meet those standards, that the request was overly intrusive and disproportionate to the needs of the case.
He pointed out that she wasn't just blatantly violating privacy, but her demand was completely unnecessary. Why? Because she was attempting to access personal data before the so-called smear campaign even began. And guess what? The judge, who actually can hold a rational thought, wasn't buying it.
You are not able to hold a logical thought, but guess what? I, as a judge, I am able to hold a logical thought, so we're going to slap that down. You obviously cannot do that.
And it wasn't just about Baldoni. Oh no. Blake wanted dirt on everyone. She wanted every communication Baldoni ever had with anyone. Imagine thinking you can dig into someone's personal life for almost 3 years just because you can't back up your own accusations with actual evidence. The judge immediately dismissed this nonsense, essentially saying, "Nice try, but no."
And he felt that the subpoenas of the Wayfarer party's phone records, even as Blake Lively had modified the request, did not meet those standards.
And when you think it can't get more humiliating for her, it absolutely does. The judge then mocked her legal team for desperately trying to justify this madness after the fact. Blake Lively's entire legal strategy at this point? Throw everything at the wall and pray that something sticks. Now, if you thought her lawyers accepted this defeat gracefully, you'd be dead wrong. Instead of acknowledging that they just got destroyed in court, they actually tried to spin it as a win. The judge pointed out that even though Lively's team had narrowed the request to exclude the actual content of messages, the call logs alone would still contain highly sensitive details, such as information on medical visits, therapist appointments, and even personal connections. But of course, because they have no shame, they immediately rush to file even more subpoenas. Girl, take the L and go home. The court just told you your request was a privacy violation, and your first move is to double down? That's like burning your own house down and then trying to sue the firefighters for not letting you live in the ashes. And it gets even worse, because just when you thought Blake Lively's case couldn't collapse any further, leaked audio just exposed her hypocrisy in the most humiliating way possible. Her entire case revolved around the claim that a negative campaign against her didn't start until August 2024, and yet she demanded to see private communications from 2022. The judge essentially said, "So let me get this straight. You're saying the campaign started in 2024, but you need texts from 2 years before that? Explain that logic." It was a legal self-own of epic proportions. A federal judge just told her, point blank, that her argument makes zero sense. And that's not all. The judge also denied her request for Baldoni's private call logs, completely blocking her from spying on his life over the past 3 years. Instead, she can only request call logs from August 2024 to December 2024, and only if they're directly relevant to the case. In other words, you can't go on a fishing expedition. If you have actual evidence, use it. If not, tough luck. At this point, Lively's case is crumbling, piece by piece, and she has no one to blame but herself. She walked into this thinking Hollywood would rally behind her, but instead, the public is turning against her faster than ever. Even her own fans are starting to question whether she's just weaponizing the Me Too movement for her own personal vendetta. And when the public starts doubting you, your case is over before it even begins. Blake Lively thought she could manipulate the system. Instead, she's getting exposed. Her legal strategy is a disaster, and her meltdown is just getting started. And trust me, this train wreck is far from over. Stay tuned for more.